You know, when you think about a massive inheritance, you usually picture a person, right? A family member, a friend. But today, we're talking about a fortune that went to someone or something so unexpected, it literally made headlines all over the globe. And we're not talking about a little bit of money here. Look at this number, $13 million. I mean, that's an absolutely life-changing amount of cash. So you've got to be asking yourself, just who inherited all that money? You'd think maybe a long-lost kid, a super loyal employee, a favorite charity perhaps. Nope, the real answer is, well, it's probably something you'd never guess in a million years.
That's right, $13 million went to a stray cat, a little black cat named Tommaso, who started out with absolutely nothing, just wandering the old streets of Rome. I know what you're thinking. How on earth does something like that even happen?
Well, this story, it doesn't really start with money at all. It starts with something much more universal, loneliness. It's really a story about two very lonely souls who just happened to find each other in an old alley. And what's so incredible is how their lives were almost perfect mirror images of each other's solitude. You've got Tommaso, the cat, skinny, hungry, sleeping in cold corners, and then you have Maria Assunta, a 90-year-old widow living in this huge, empty mansion. She had all the money in the world, but no one to share it with. No kids, no close family, just two incredibly lonely beings whose paths were about to cross.
So Maria sees this little stray, and maybe she saw a bit of her own loneliness in him. She decides to take him in. And what starts as just a simple act of kindness, well, it grows into this really deep, powerful friendship that completely changed her final years.
It really was a fateful meeting. For years, Tommaso was so much more than a pet. He was her little shadow, her friend, the one she talked to. And that bond was so strong that in 2011, she made a decision, an incredible decision that would make sure he was safe forever, turning this little stray into, you guessed it, a multi-millionaire.
And for Maria, that's exactly what Tommaso was, a soulmate. He wasn't just some animal she fed every day. No, he was the one who filled the silence in that big, empty house. He gave her a kind of comfort and happiness that, honestly, she just wasn't finding in people anymore. And she was absolutely determined to repay him for that.
So as she got older, Maria knew she had to do something to show her gratitude. And when you have that much money, you can make a pretty big gesture. So she put together this final act, a legally binding will that was, well, it was completely unconventional, but also incredibly heartfelt.
And we're not just talking about a pile of cash here. The inheritance included luxury apartments and houses in Rome and Milan, huge bank accounts, investments, the whole shebang. But maybe the most important part, she made sure to arrange for dedicated caretakers so he'd be loved and looked after for the rest of his life.
I mean, just think about that transformation. It is just absolute. He went from a shivering stray in a dark alley to living in actual palaces. From being dusty and hungry to eating the best food you can imagine. And really, the biggest change of all, from being all alone in the world to being completely loved and cared for. It's like a fairy tale, but for a cat who'd only ever known a tough life.
But you know, when you peel back the layers of this story, past the shocking headlines and the giant pile of money, there's something much, much deeper going on here. It's a really powerful lesson about what's actually important in life.
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? For Maria, all that wealth was meaningless because she had no one to share it with. And the cure for her loneliness, it didn't come from a person. It came from the quiet, constant company of this little stray cat. In the end, she gave him a home, but he gave her the happiness she'd been searching for. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought, right? So many of us spend our lives chasing big, grand things, more money, more success. But maybe, just maybe, this story is proof that the greatest fortunes, the things that truly make us rich, are found in the simplest, most unexpected places.